So so we continued on today and studied about the theory of supply and demand. What is demand? Demand is in want by a consumer that he or she is willing to buy at a certain quantity on a certain price. And what is supply? It is the goods and services that a producer, a manufacturer will provide, a service provider will provide under the what he feels, or let me get it correct. What are the supplies that sorry that it refers to the quantity of goods and services which a seller is willing and able to sell at a given price. There are many factors that are involved which regulate these two. If we see demand, then the price of the goods, price of the related goods and services, then technology available, and income of the people, preferences of people, competitive pricing maybe, and economic condition of the nation, and etc. These factors, demand is indirectly or inversely proportional to price. So if demand rises, then price will slow down, and if price rises of a product, then demand will slow down. But we see some exceptions here. There are two type of goods. One is Giffen goods and second is Veblen goods. In Giffen goods, what happens is that the inferior substitute of the same commodity or the goods, its price will rise with the demand of the good, as there already exists a superior quality of it in the market. And in Veblen goods, it is not bought because of its utilization, it is bought because of its ostentatiousness, or its some symbol of just richness, or maybe, what is the better word, status symbol. So these are the things. Then we see elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? It is the responsiveness of quantity demanded with respect to the change in price and other factors. So its simple formula that is given is change in elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand equals to change in quantity upon change in prices multiplied by supply. There are many factors which affect supply also, like again price of price of the goods and the price of the related goods in the market, because he have to compete with them to sell his product. Then he has to look into tastes and preferences of the people. Cost of inputs, he has to also look on the manufacturing cost and of the cost of the raw material. Availability of the raw material is there or not, it will decide the pricing. And then technology is the state of technology, how advanced it is, how easy it is to produce that. So supply is directly proportional to pricing. Sorry, price and quantity are directly proportional to each other. So if there is a high quantity, then pricing, wait, what's a quality, not quantity? So mostly if it is in our mind also that if a product is of higher quality, it will be more costlier, and it happens mostly like that. There are some exceptions, like sometimes nature of goods and situations can differ, like there is a very big inflation in Afghanistan, so the same quality of product of a computer component of same quality in India will cost twice or thrice in Afghanistan, but it doesn't mean that that component is much better than the component in India. There is a equilibrium. Equilibrium means just the balance of the things between things. So what it means in this context is that there should be some equilibrium between demand and supply to achieve a stability in the country, to achieve stability in the market, so that the seller also knows what and had a little prediction of how much product he should produce or what to produce of what quality, and the buyer also knows about the pricing, so he also develops his tastes and preferences and tries to buy according to his needs and wants. We can see this in graphically. We can see this equilibrium when we see this type of diagram in which demand and supply curve intersect each other at a point, and that intersection is known as graphical equilibrium. Then there are terms that I was trying to solve yesterday. It came into flashcards and also quizzes, but I was not able to answer because I didn't study at that time. I mean, I was mostly able to answer. But cornering capitalism is very simple. It is a friendship between manufacturer or seller and politician, and instead of the benefit of the nation, they work for the mutual benefit. So this is corny capitalism, and cornier also means friendship. Then there is Fabian socialism. In Fabian socialism, rather than Marxist socialism simply is that it tries to achieve a very gradual change. It tries to achieve its ends through a very gradual process, not like Marxist so Marxist communism, which tells us to do revolution, a violent revolution to get to the ends, to get what you want. So best example would be nationalization of private things that happened in India also when India became independent, and most of the banks, airlines and things were socialized. It was owned by government. National opportunity cost. Yes, opportunity cost is the loss, the benefit lost when you choose the one alternative other than other. So it is the opportunity cost that cost you. Then national income. National income is simply the sum of factor income of normal resident and also normal resident of a country received in the form of rent, wages, interest and profit from domestic as well as foreign sources during a financial year. आयु पानी लाने को आता ना मैंने आपको फाइनेंशियल ईयर मेरे को पानी भी तो दे financial year income is a flow concept hence calculated for thanks. Where were we? Gives investment assets. Okay. Non-factor incomes like gifts, donations, and subsidies, charities, remittances are not counted in national income or national income as I think they are counted in national. No. Yes. I think they are not counted in GDP but counted in national income. I will clarify it later. So these definitely are not counted in GDP as they don't produce I think anything. There is no flow in this cash. Yeah, they are merely receipts without production of goods and services. Then there are three methods of how to calculate national income. So the first method is net added value method or production method, output method. Under this method, gross domestic product. Under this method, GDP is estimated as market value of final goods and services produced within domestic territory of a country in one financial year. Domestic territory also can mean the ships that are not in India that are in foreign right now, the embassies, Indian embassies that are in foreign, airplanes and other things, and the members in there which are of Indian origin and have Indian passport. Market price includes base price plus net product taxes, which is product taxes minus product subsidies. Final loads, problems, value added method. Value added method is very simple. It is the difference between value added value outputs, value of outputs and value of inputs. Indirect tax, production taxes and ये मैं ऐड करना भूल गया लग रहा है नेक्स्ट में इसमें ऐड कर लूँगा. Indirect taxes are divided into product taxes and production taxes. Indirect taxes are simple, the tax money paid by regular citizens directly to government. Indirect taxes are relate to goods and services paid by customers to sellers, then sellers pay that tax to the government. The production tax is simple. It is the amount, if the amount is fixed for a year on a certain product, irrespective of the level of production, then it is called production tax. But if it changes per unit, then it is called product tax. Very simple, very simple. Net product tax. Depreciation or consumption of fixed capital is also very simple to understand. It is reduction in the value of goods or value of fixed capitals or assets due to wear and tear, different things, or change of technology. On net factor income from abroad is also very simple to calculate. You just have to minus the income received to income paid to abroad, and that is a net factor income from abroad. So the formula that comes up is GDP plus, or instead of GDP we can say GVA, gross value added on base price, plus net profit tax. NPT net profit no, NPT is something different. Net product tax, sorry. Base price, GVA at base price, and plus NPT, net product tax. After that, minus it with depreciation, also known as net domestic product at market price. Then we just add the net factor income from abroad, also known as net national product at market price, and it enlarged to minus it with net product taxes, and you get the national income. There are a lot of things that I'm not able to retain right now, but I think through revisions, and I'm not doing that much revision. I will do quiz right after this and then flashcards. Maybe that will help. So method 2 is income method, and this method national income is estimated by the total factor income of normal residences received in form of rent, wages, interest and profit from domestic and foreign sources in a financial year. So private income is the total of factors and non-factor income of non-government sector, including firms and households. Then personal income is the net factor and non-factor income of households. Disposable personal income, these are the terms that will be used to calculate the national income. So disposable personal income is the difference between personal income minus personal tax. So how will we calculate it? So the formula for that especially is let me yes. So the formula for that is domestic sources, like I stated, private income and personal income. Private income, personal income plus disposable income, and then added it with net factor income from abroad. So that is income method. Then the last method is expenditure method, if I'm right here. Expenditure method. In this we have different type of, we will directly go to formula in this and state. I understood how the things are working, how it is calculation working, but I'm not able to memorize right now these terms. Some terms I have grasped, but I think through repeated revision I will grasp that also. So in expenditure method, the first we calculate the GDP through private final consumption expenditure, adding it with government final consumption expenditure, and these both are just amounts spent by both the respective industry on the final goods and services, and add it with gross fixed capital formation, which is just the savings during that year and investment, long term investment in that year. Then change in stock of inventories, which is just the goods which were not bought, which were not consumed in that year. And last, add it with net export, which is just import minus export. Sorry, export minus import. With this we get GDP. Then we calculate the national income by national income equals to GDP minus depreciation minus net product tax minus net factor income from abroad. So these are the three methods to calculate national income. And then we see some terms like purchasing power parity, which is a global comparison indicator that tells us about the cost of living and also about the goods in that country that are being consumed. So it is a global comparison indicator used by mainly UN, I think. Yes, IMF, international organization like IMF and World Bank, for global comparison. Then there is green GDP. Green GDP is also very simple to understand. It is just GDP minus environmental losses that are happening in the. क्या हुआ?
अरे मौसी ने दे रे
क्या मेरे
अभी
पास?
तो टिकट कैंसिल करवा दी। आप कह रही फिर से करवाओ, हमने कहा ना करवाओ, खुद करो। हम लाला के हमारे 150 रोज काटा है, वो दे दी है। हाँ अभी तो का चुटुक बाई दियन तो ठीक हो रहा था, कर ठीक नहीं बा। हमने कहा उस दिन से कहा बताया कहियो के नहीं, हाँ नहीं वहाँ वही पावा अब मैं फ़ोन करूँ जब तुम्हें बीमारी याद आती है, अपने से तो आती नहीं किसी को। हमने कहा खुद करवा लिया, आ जा खुद आ
करवा लें।
पता नहीं, हमें बता दे हो जाता। अरे अब मिली किसी तरह से 17 तारीख का मिला रहा।
तो अभी की थोड़ी मिलेगी अब तो।
अब ऐसे ऐसे लेट हो जाए तो अब अप्रैल के मिली ना, जाके मई के मिली ना, वो कर मार्च के मिली ना,
मार्च के मिली अब।
हैं? अब कहाँ 17 का आ जाता, 18 मालक 2 दिन बाद दिखाई दी तो आराम से। आज 24-25 नहीं होगा। ओके बाद में पढ़ के जो दिखावे के लिए ऑपरेशन हो गया। अब इन्हें आँखी दिखा के अरे चुटू भाई दिमाग तक ठीक हो ना तो इंसान चुटू कोई बैठ दिया करा करे, वो देख के नहीं हुआ कह देते ठीक कर देता।
तो वैद भी नहीं है, वैद तो दवाई देता है, जड़ी बूटी कुछ तो
कुछ नहीं, जादू मानता है, झाड़ू फूंका से नहीं इतनी बड़ी बीमारी ठीक हो जाए। मतलब लेडीज को क्या बोला था, बच्चे दाने बच्चे हो तो ऐसे क्या बोला था उसको,
यूट्रस।
हाँ एक आधा निकाले पड़ी, देख लेना, मानी नहीं है। 2 साल से है, 2 साल से है तो सोचे 2 साल से जब बच्चेदानी डॉक्टर बोला कि इसका सर्जरी करवा लो, तब 2 साल में बढ़ा ना हुई ना ढंग से दवाई।
क्या कहा था, क्या कर लो?
साल ने दीदी के जब शादी गई तब दिखावे गई रही है, बीमार पड़ गई रही तभी डॉक्टर बोला था कि ऑपरेशन करवा लो, ठंडी में करवा लेना। तब से अभी तक का ये बंदे ना दिखाए। अब किसी तरह मैंने कहा चल आजा दिखाओ, नानी रोबर रही तब मैंने, अब फिर उस दिन जोश में आके टिकट कैंसिल करवाई से। मैं बोल भी रही हूँ कि आज जा, कोई बात नहीं, जाके वहाँ फिर दोबारा झाड़ फूँक करवा लिए। अब अपने से फ़ोन करे की हिम्मत भी नहीं रही कि हाँ अच्छा ठीक है गलती हो गई, करवा दे हमारे को दोबारा। आज जब मैंने फ़ोन करी तो पूछूं कि नहीं भाई क्या हो गया, कुछ बात कर रही, अब कुछ नहीं कहाँ दिखाए पाए में, वो जब दिखावे गिरी ओकर खुद ऑपरेशन कल भाई करा। हम कहा अभी तो उस दिन मेरे को इतना कॉन्फिडेंट में बोली कि ठीक हो जाते हमारे, हम बोले रहे इतना ठीक है जो वहाँ दिखाए लिए, जैसा तोका लगी तो टिकट कटवाए नहीं बताए। मैंने अभी बोल दिया खुद कटवा खुद आओ। लाला के मेरे उस दिन 150 कटा, वो पैसा लाला बोला रहा मारते दी, मेरे का बोला रहा हम कल तो मौसी दे। अरे लोग सीरियस ही नहीं लेते हैं कोई बीमारी का,
वो तो पैसों की जैसे नहीं लेते ना।
अरे तो का पैसे बाद में जब मराई लागत तब आ जाई,
यही लगता है। तुम भी तो नहीं करा रहे थे जब तुम्हें वो ईश्वर भोरा बोला था 1.5 लाख का लगेगा, तुमने भी
तो कहा नहीं मैंने करवाया। जब मेरे
वो तो फिर उसने कहा था ना कि मैं ये नहीं लूंगा, तब तुमने कराया भाई।
अरे जब भी हम करवाते चाहे वो ना लेता तब भी, हमें कितने दिन टूटे हुआ था मेरा पैर, मेरे को वहाँ 4 महीने बाद का दिया था डेटा, जब से मैं भागी रही थी। 15 दिन का उसने थेरेपी लिखा था कि अभी टूटा नहीं है, उसको उस एक्सरे में आया नहीं था, तो 15 दिन का मैंने थेरेपी लिखा था। थेरेपी करा 15 दिन में थेरेपी करवाने गई कि नहीं गई थी, तब उसके बाद नहीं थेरेपी में ठीक हुआ, तब फिर MRI करवाई। तब मैंने MRI करवाई कि नहीं करवाई, पापा जब वहीं थे गाँव में, तब हम अपने पास से ही जो पैसा था मैंने करवाया था। MRI करवाने के बाद फिर क्रिश के पापा बोले एक बार आर्मिल में भी दिखा लो, फिर वहाँ भी मैंने दिखाया। वहाँ भी डॉक्टर ऑपरेशन का बोला 50-60 हज़ार लगेगा और 2-3 बंदे लगेंगे।
2-3 बंदे उनके भी ऑपरेशन होंगे?
अरे कि मेरे साथ 2 बंदे लगेंगे मुझे उठाने बैठाने का, और एक बंदा दवाई ववाई का चाहिए। हाँ मैंने तो फिर डॉक्टर, मेरे तो 2.5 लोग हम हैं ही, हम बंदे कहाँ से लाएंगे।
तो उसमें भी उठाने वाला तो एक ही है, मैं उस टाइम पे इतना थोड़ी था।
वही तो मैंने बोला, तो यही तो मैंने बोला हम 2.5 लोग तो हैं भाई, आई तो और छोटा था।
नहीं वो तो उठा लेता तुम्हें।
हाँ
उस टाइम पे
अब
मेकअप
राखी दीदी भी आई थी, उसको भी ढंग से ना खाना बनाना था, फिर भी चलो कम से कम आई थी। वही फोन कर रही है,
करो बात करो, उधर करो अपना, मेरे पढ़ना था।
हेलो हेलो,
Sorry for the inconvenience. We will start right away. So we discussed about green GDP and what is the third term? Potential GDP. Potential GDP is the GDP that a country can achieve after the full utilization of factors of production under favorable conditions is potential GDP. Always the real GDP will be less than the potential GDP, as you can say potential GDP is very ideal thing to see what are our limits. There are some factors in it like capital formation, level of technology, demography, infrastructure, political stability, economic policies, availability of inputs like raw materials that are considered when saying full utilization of factors of production. But what are the factors that are responsible for GDP gap in India? That can be very easily said: poor infrastructure, backward technology, and low efficiency of factors of production, lack of entrepreneurship, political instability, ineffective implementation of policies. Next term is real GDP. Real GDP is calculated at market price, taking previous year as the base year and then calculating the GDP. That is real GDP. And if we take base year as current year, then it is known as nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is very deceptive as it is very volatile in nature. So real GDP is the one that we should see to know about the country's GDP. Then we see economic growth and economic development. What is economic growth? Economic growth is gradual increment in the quantitative economic variable, sustained increase in quantitative economic variables such as real GDP. Economic development is sustained improvement in qualitative and quantitative variable aspects of human life. So we see economic growth is had one dimension. Economic development has multitude of dimensions. Economic growth has narrow definition. Economic development has broader definition. Economic growth only looks at income. Economic development looks at multitude of indexes like Human Development Index, gross happiness indexes, like such things. So economic growth is based on means and economic development is ends of it. So there is economic growth rate. There is a formula to calculate economic growth rate, that is real GDP of current year minus real GDP of previous year upon the real GDP of the previous year into 100%. Then we see growth trends in India. This just tells us that in starting we were not having very good growth rate, then we started to catch up, but still it's quite low of what a good developing economy should be, which is its percentage should be in double digits, around 10 for at least 2 decades that China had. Our maximum growth rate was 9.7 in 2021 and 22. So we are getting somewhere around there, but not quite there. The nature of economic growth is just if the growth is happening very rapidly, it means that we are overlooking some things. It can be nature, it can be equality in income and between people, it can be jobless growth. One of the first types is jobless growth, in which production is increasing, but joblessness of people is also increasing at the same rate, as only people with money are making money and not with people, and there is no opportunity for the people who doesn't have money or they're trying to get money. There is rootless growth also, which means growth of production but decay of culture and traditional values. Next we see economic cycles. We directly jump onto its diagram, which tells us, which makes it easy to understand the concept. So this whole is economic cycle. At starting, when economy is starting, it starts with a boom, as in it has a increase in production. It has a positive growth rate, and at some point it will reach its maximum growth rate, its maximum growth at a time, and at this time the growth rate will be zero or near to nothing. After that, recession will come. Recession can come for many due to many factors, like that competitiveness, or maybe what is the reason behind that. Recession is stage of falling GDP in real terms, which means negative growth, but further fall in employment rate, levels of saving and economic and investments and energy. That happens in recession. Then if it falls very low through trend line, then it is called as depression, in which negative growth rate persists, but it will stop like peak in trough, where it will reach again zero growth rate or minimal negative growth rate, zero growth rate of GDP. And from here on, the government or the people will start to look at the policies to revive the economy, and then the recovery phase will start. And in the recovery phase, the change in government policies and economic conditions and action that are taken place in the trough period will help in recovery and in positive growth, and it will lead to crossing the trend line and again achieve a boom, and it will again repeat the cycle. There are some abnormal events that happen in economies that are called black swan. Then there are different type of recoveries that can happen: L recovery, W recovery, V recovery. It is just based on the shape of the recovery in the graph that they are having. For example, if talking about W recovery, peak, boom, depression, sudden trough, then recovery with sudden boom, but again it is not the real recovery, it is just sub recovery, you can say, and again it goes into period of recession before crossing the trend line. So it reaches till here, then again goes back, and then again it throw, and then recovery, and then it catches up to the trend line and again boom. So that makes a W in the graph. So it is W recovery. And same, there is L recovery, K-shaped recovery. L recovery is simply the economy which doesn't reach the trend line again. That is L recovery. Then indicators of economic development. In this we first see how there are certain limitation in GDP when we calculate. No, in GDP there are certain limitations that are seen, like it ignores the nature of goods and services that are produced. So it can ignore that the country is surviving on products like tobacco, illegal weapons, and things like that. Second is, it ignores the variation in distribution of income, so it ignores the social inequality, economic inequality that is being persisting in the system. Third, it ignores the non-monetized care economy, for example, or such economies in the country. Fourth, it ignores education and health as a factor. Fifth, it ignores political freedom as a factor. Sixth is it ignores social justice, and if you go on, environmental degradation. So GDP can't cover all these areas, so we have other indexes which cover this. For example, we have gross national happiness, which tells us about the quality of life of a person in a country, and this was introduced by PM of Bhutan named Jigme Singhe Wanchuk in 1972. It was this motion was passed on UN General Assembly in 2011, and 68 countries accepted this indicator. So in this there are 9 main domains and 33 indicators, but we will talk about the 9 main domains, which are mental well-being, health, time use, education, cultural diversity, good governance, community vitality, ecological diversity, resilience, and living standards. The second indicator we see is physical quality of life index, PQIL. In this there are 3 domains that are looked at: basic literacy, infant mortality, and life expectancy of an individual. It was introduced by M.D. Morris in 1970s. Then there is third indicator, which is Human Development Index, also introduced in 1990 by a team of economists, and the professor that was heading it was Mehboob ul Haq under the UN Development Program, UNDP. In this also we see same in domains like per capita income of a country, knowledge or education index, and third, life expectancy index. These are seen, and there is a formula to calculate this, which is just the cube root of these 3 indicators: the PPP, EI, and LEI. PPP means purchasing power parity, education index, and life expectancy index. So their cube root is the HDI metric. It shows around 0 to 1. India stands at 138th place with 0.685 score, so very low. Norway is the one that is at the top with 0.985, I think. So let's do some revision from the help of Notebook LMAP. Is experiencing issue that may affect quality of experience for update. Okay. कोई नहीं, हमारा तो बन चुका है ना. Let's start with quiz. In the context of national income counting, which are the following figures correctly represent the transition from GDP at market price to NNP net national NNPFC national income using the new methodology adopted in India. ये क्या हुआ यार? GDP MP डिप्रिसिएशन तो हमेशा माइनस होगा, ऊपर तो प्लस होने लगा। NFI ये भी प्लस होगा। सो A और C में से है नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स। A और C सेम ही तो है। NFI नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड, जहाँ नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स तो प्लस होता है यार। ये तो ये नहीं, व्हाट, डिप्रिसिएशन माइनस करा और तो नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स क्यों माइनस कर रहे हैं? National income is defined as NNP at basic price of factor cost, which requires subtracting depreciation. Net factor income and removing net indirect tax. Net product tax हटाना था। अच्छा, मैं इसको import export मान रहा था। नहीं नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स माइनस नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स। नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स क्या था? नेट प्रोडक्ट टैक्स था कॉस्ट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट माइनस, ऐसे करके था ना। Prime economies, supply efforts, product taxes minus product subsidies, product taxes minus प्रोडक्ट सब्सिडीज। तो टैक्सेस माइनस क्यों हो रही है इसमें, पता नहीं। An economy experiences a price increase of 20% for a commodity. ओह, कैलकुलेट कर सकता हूँ मैं, मेरे पता नहीं था। इसमें कर लेते कैलकुलेट। Let's do it. We have a price increase of 20%. पहले ये क्या था हमारा? इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड। तो ये था परसेंटेज चेंज इन क्वांटिटी, परसेंटेज चेंज इन प्राइजेस, ये था फॉर्मूला। तो परसेंटेज चेंज इन कमोडिटी हमारे पास 20% है, इंक्रीज हुआ तो प्लस है, and resulting in a decrease of quantity demanded from 100 to 60 हुआ ना। तो 60 minus 100, 40 upon 100 into 100, 40% डिक्रीज हुआ तो minus 40%। Calculate the elasticity of demand। टोटल 1/2 तो 0.5 माइनस 0.5 तो नहीं होगी। अच्छा, प्लस माइनस नहीं आता ना, 0.5%। वाओ मैं तो बुद्धू निकला रही है। मैंने उल्टा कर दिया, मैंने प्रोडक्ट, अच्छा हाँ, मैंने यही तो गलती करी। मैंने नोटिस क्यों नहीं करा? मैंने प्रोडक्ट की जब प्राइस रखी, अगर फिर वो तो फिर मैं सही होता, पर नहीं तो सही, तो मेरी गलती। Which of the following scenarios best describe the J-curve effect in the external factor? J-curve वो भी पढ़ा तो नहीं है। The stagnant trade yield, J-curve effect in the external sector. Stagnant trade J-curve, so it was at high, then it suddenly became low, but again starting to get high. The stagnant trade balance that does not respond to fluctuation floating. The immediate improvement of the balance of payments. The country's trade deficit initially worsens following currency depreciation. होगा। According to the Harrod-Domer model, ये भी तो पढ़ा नहीं, पर इतनी बार आ चुका है यार, पढ़ना पड़ेगा। Next. विच इंडिकेटर ऑफ इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट पर देख लेते क्या है. According to the Harrod-Dover model, what is the mathematical relation between the economic growth rate G, the saving rate S, and the capital output ratio? Growth rate equals to मल्टीप्लाई तो नहीं होगा यार, सेविंग्स क्यों डिवाइड होगी. इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ रेट देख रहे हैं ना, ग्रोथ रेट को फॉर्मूला तो देखा बट ये नहीं था वो फॉर्मूला. सेविंग्स रेट, अगर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ रेट हाई है तो एक में कहा गया था सेविंग्स हाई होगी, बट इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ रेट अच्छी वैसे हाँ हाई होनी चाहिए सेविंग्स. सेविंग्स डिवाइडेड बाय कैपिटल, ग्रोथ इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल to the rates of saving. हाँ ये तो समझ गया था. Inversely proportional मेरे को. Efficiency of capital usage. हाँ inversely proportional to efficiency of capital. अगर capital usage अच्छा होगा तो growth भी तो अच्छी होगी यार. What is this bullshit? Which indicator of economic development specially utilizes basic literacy in fact, morality, life expectancy to calculate arithmetic scale? तो ह्यूमन इंडेक्स तो नहीं है, MPI तो पढ़ा ही नहीं मैंने. पॉवर्टी के बारे में यार, ग्रोथ नेशनल में नहीं है ये. PQLI in the real edu, what is the primary purpose of using a base year? To adjust GDP for depreciation natural, to incorporate the value of unpaid, to allow for comparison GDP value across different countries using single currency, to eliminate the effect of price change. Inflation measures the actual price. If the government increases expenditure on infrastructure during a recession, causing private investment to increase as well, this phenomena is known as इससे ध्यान तो मैंने फिर कैसे करेंगे. इंक्रीज करिए एक्सपेंडिचर इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जब रिसेशन चल रहा है, और कॉजिंग प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट टू इंक्रीज एज वेल. फिजिकल क्राउडिंग इन इफेक्ट. In the context of Indian indirect taxation, what does anti-profiteering clause in the GST Act mandate? Any reduction in tax rates, indirect taxes. What is anti-profiteering clause? Any reduction in tax for benefit of input tax can must be passed on to the consumer. Well, घंटा मुझे नहीं पता, but it needs the hint. And the relation between tax rate change and the final price paid by the customer. अच्छा, that all the business transactions नहीं है तो the mandatory conversion of all physical investors नहीं. A provision of चाहिए फिर तो a reduction, any reduction in tax rates or benefit must be passed on to the consumer via price reduction. You identify the stage of economic cycle characterized by overheating, a zero growth rate at the highest point, and unsustainable expansion peak है ये तो. What is the primary difference between Giffen good and Veblen good regarding the law of demand? Veblen goods are essential commodities. Veblen goods नहीं है. Inferior substitutes. Veblen goods are luxury items. In the calculation of GDP using the expenditure method, which of the following is not a component? इनकम मेथड कहना है तो एक्सपेंडिचर में तो जितना भी एक्सपेंड हो रहा है. Which domain of the gross national average index includes indicators that how did you allocate their hours, between work sleep and leisure time use? In the context of human development index calculation, what relevant measures utilizes the three dimensional indices? Weighted moving average, geometric mean, standard deviation, arithmetic mean. with specific sustainable development goal focuses on promoting sustainable economic growth, full and productive government, decent work. क्या है इसका? मैंने पढ़ा नहीं BST, बट ये बताते हैं BST पढ़ना चाहिए. Calculate the tax buoyancy if percentage change. ये कैसे कर दूँ भाई, पता ही नहीं है. What is the primary characteristics of a gig economy as defined in modern economic literature? An economy based on short-term contracts and freelance work instead of permanent jobs. In context of national income accounting, double counting occurs where directly are collected from the same individual. The value of intermediate costs is added to GDP alongside with the value of final goods and appreciated income. Which exchange rate concept measures the weighted average of a currency bilateral rates adjusted for relative inflation rates? Which exchange rate concept measures the weighted average of a currency bilateral rates adjusted with the relative? क्या है ये पता नहीं. PPP नहीं है, फिक्स्ड एक्सचेंज रेट नहीं है, रियल इफेक्टिव नाम में ही है, रियल इफेक्टिव. The Laffer curve demonstrates the relationship between a peak rates and total tax inflation. Wow, कुछ नहीं कैसे करता मैं. What is the primary difference between economic growth and economic development? Sustainable growth is which form of inflation is characterized by prices rising because the cost of raw material demand forcing producers to raise selling price. Cost push inflation, hyperinflation, demand sorry, prices because of the cost of inflation. In the Indian financial system, treasury bill T-bills are issued by the RBI on behalf of the central government for which primary purpose? T-bills are issued in the treasury bill short term हो रही है. Treasury bill याद कर लौंडे long term तो नहीं है. The collection of idle good नहीं. Providing interest free loans क्या बात कर रहे हो? Options इतने गंदे दे रहे हैं. What does monetary aggregate M3 represent in the Indian monetary system? What does monetary aggregate M3 represent in the Indian monetary system? Narrow money plus a term deposit with the public currency. The state of budgetary process in India Parliament involves a vote on account. Passing of appropriation bill. Under the value added method of GDP calculation, how is value added defined for a producer? Value of output minus value of inputs, intermediate consumption, total sales revenue, total liabilities, total sum, which indicator is calculated as the arithmetic mean. Wow, ये तो बिल्कुल नहीं पता मुझे. Shit, सही में नहीं पता. मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं कुछ. ध्यान दिया होता तो अच्छा आते मार्क्स. चलो फ्लैश कार्ड्स उसके फ्लैश कार्ड्स इसने बना रहा है यार ये बंदा. मुझे लग रहा है मुझे इसको लक्ष्मीकांत भाई साहब को मना करना पड़ेगा. लक्ष्मीकांत इतनी एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज डाल रहा है उसमें, इतना नहीं चाहिए. Well, do now. Let's do some typing practice as usual.